They call this not your father's root beer. And the left, the Democrat Party, is not your father's Democrat Party. A lot of people are going to be very shocked because things have changed so much in the last week. Yeah, it's an exponential change. People are not going to recognize. It's going to be shell shock, that's for sure. So you're probably aware that Trump is racist. Everyone knows that. But did you know some mobs tore down a statue of Abraham Lincoln, and the statue was purchased by slaves to commemorate Lincoln for what he did for them. They tore it down. They also tore down a statue of Ulysses Grant, who was the most famous general for the Union. Tore it down. And now Mount Rushmore is in the crosshairs here. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. And initially, how does that sit with you? I don't know. Doesn't sit very well with me. And I know it's not going to sit well with a lot of other Democrats. So I saw this, and I'm having a hard time believing it. But it's real. Okay, so we got a story here. Trump uses Mount Rushmore address, July 4th, to rail against removal of the monuments. Rail against removal of the monuments? I guess maybe you didn't know about that. So here's a story on CNN. Trump made an impassioned appeal. I want you to look at the buzzwords here. An impassioned appeal to his base in the shadow. Instead of striking a unifying tone, he railed against a merciless campaign by his political foes to erase history. Isn't that crazy? They're not trying to erase history. He said that, CNN is saying that some people say Mount Rushmore is a symbol of racial oppression. They're not, but it's kind of like a national conversation that's happening right now. Trump warns that there's a growing danger that threatens. Our nation is witnessing a merciless campaign to wipe out our history, erase our values, and indoctrinate our children. It was this kind of dark message that the president has often turned to in recent weeks to incite his most loyal supporters. So that's a big thing here. Trump is inciting the right. While a more traditional president may have used the event to bring the country together, Trump did not. He used it to divide the nation and fire up the right wing. But listen to the speech. There's nothing... This is nonsense. He had an excellent speech. This is the kind of highly produced stagecraft befitting of a former reality television star. He claimed without evidence the schools are teaching the students to hate their own country. Claimed it without evidence. Well, I think this is evidence. He lambasted far left fascism in media and schools, cancel culture, totalitarianism. That's interesting, huh? Especially after you listen to the speech. Here's another story. The creator of Mount Rushmore has forgotten ties to white supremacy. Wow, deeply involved in the KKK. Here's another story. Tribal leaders and organizers call for the removal of Mount Rushmore. Tribal leaders calling for the U.S. government to remove it. I like this here. Should be removed, but not blown up. How are you going to remove it? So, how did we get... We're talking about removing Mount Rushmore? Holy crap, that happened quick. So I want you to watch this video next.
Median from HBO, I guess it is, This Week Tonight. He's reacting to Donald Trump saying if you start to tear down the Confederacy statues, you're going to end up tearing down George Washington.
The president's concern seems to be that tearing down statues leads to a slippery slope.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week, and is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Okay, well, I'll tell you where it stops. Somewhere. Anytime someone asks, where does it stop, the answer is always, f***ing somewhere. You might let your kid have Twizzlers, but not inject black tar heroin. You don't just go, well, after the Twizzlers, where does it stop?
These people are freaking nuts. They're doing this on purpose. And I just can't believe people are believing it.